Well, this is another one of the solutions videos. Don't know if I'll have any links, but if I do, they'll be over there. Yeah, this one's on an idea I had, probably back in high school, and of course can't sell it to anybody. So I'm going to, put it out here and see what happens. So far, I haven't gotten any responses to other ideas that, no response videos for, so I can't really have a good argument. And the text arguments have been sort of irrelevant. I mean, the last video especially didn't go anywhere in the comments. But that's the way it works. So when I get to the point, I already wasted time. It seemed obvious to me that you could create not-for-profit businesses. I mean, that would be something the government could do. I mean, I watched men walk on the moon, and it wasn't, they really didn't have Nike shirts on and the rest of it. It really was sort of a government project, and it wasn't a disaster. And I also saw the Hoover Dam, and it was pretty impressive. But anyway, it seems obvious that we the people, I mean, everybody is so down on government. And I understand why I'm down on government, but you can fix government. We can fix the system, as the last video points out, and it doesn't take much work. But the idea that we collectively, as a society, as socialists, as part of a collective, could actually accomplish something isn't really that bizarre or fantastic. So anyway, still ain't got to the point. We have this capitalist system, and that's fine, whatever, blah blah blah. I think it could be used, some reforms, small little reforms, and fix a lot of things. But anyway, let's stick to this particular reform, which I think would be that we should create not-for-profit businesses. We the people should do that. We should get into a lot of industries, because a lot of businesses really, it isn't brain surgery, and these companies are just reaping huge profits. Even though there's not technically a monopoly, it's a monopoly because it's like the insurance industry. There's no way you can get into the insurance industry unless you're a zillionaire. So realistically, once you're established in that business, you don't have to worry about some guy just coming along one day and saying, "Oh, I want to compete with you," because they're going to need a big, huge, giant pile of money to do that. And anyway, you see it, because you just see these, the biggest buildings in the world for a while were being built by insurance companies, and so I mean, obviously they're taking a lot of our money and making profits and building really big, fancy buildings. So that's just one example, but in most industries, I think the government, a not-for-profit business, that we'd cap salaries at $100,000, so no one could make more than $100,000, and no one would make less than, say, 30% above the minimum wage. And we would have some elected official appointed through the elective body. I would say maybe the president could appoint one, the Congress could appoint one person, and the Senate could appoint one person. And that three-panel body or whatever would regulate who runs these different corporations, these different government corporations. So there would be accountability. I mean, if it was my world to run, I'd say just put it also on the ballot, and we could just elect a, government industry czar, or whatever you want to call them, and he would make decisions, and then we have direct accountability, and you'd have to, get reaffirmed every year by the people. But anyway, let's not talk about what I would do. Let's just talk about what might be doable as a society. So, it really just takes money to start a business. You start it, and the thing is, I'm not talking about replacing private industry. What I'm saying is that we create these businesses, they could at least provide a minimum standard that the industry would have to compete with. So instead of having to regulate monopolies, we would guarantee against monopolies, because we'd have somebody in the business, and so we'd save the trouble of regulating, and besides that trouble, we'd also guarantee a minimum level of service. I mean, even the most incompetent government-run business, like I said, if there is some direct accountability, if salaries are capped and the rest of it, and you take out all the graft and you make all their business decisions public information, no secret meetings, realistically, most things would have to be done publicly. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't drag public employee dirty laundry through through the public, but the fact of who gets paid what, who has what job, what they produced, all that stuff would be public, so people could scrutinize the function of this business and who made what decisions, and so they'd have somebody to blame for the mess ups and stupid predictions and whatnot. So anyway, like I said, having this standard biz, having somebody in each of these industries that's going to guarantee a minimum, really would prevent a gas company can't gouge us, right? I mean, Exxon can't raise its prices outrageously if we have a government gas station that it has to at least finance itself, has to make enough money to keep itself going. It just isn't going to feed some stockholders portfolio. That's going to be the big difference. And so, and it's also not going to be paying a CEO. Let's get realistic. Of the average CEO, what makes $10 million? So that's 100 people making $100,000. And you're atheist, right? Most of you people listening to me, so you don't buy the old tired bullshit, that people spout. So let's get realistic. You know it, I know it. 100 people making $100,000 a year have got to be smarter than one CEO. I mean, it's just bullshit to think that there's some people out there just so friggin' brilliant. No way. There's no way. 100 people with all their imagination and doing $100,000 worth of thinking a year. Yeah, they're gonna come up with ideas, and they're gonna be they're gonna have all kinds of feedback, and they're not gonna make stupid and reckless mistakes, because they're gonna have all these people scrutinizing. They're going to be scrutinizing each other. I mean, a board of 100 people, I mean, they're going to make better decisions, and it's just stupid to think that, So anyway, but the point is, we got, we pay CEOs a fortune, and we pay their staff and all these people and all the rest. There's this whole infrastructure built into every business that's just pure waste. And it exists because it's a little elitist game. I mean, everybody's, one business guy, well, yeah, I know the guy who owns the other business, and well, yeah, I got this jerk-off son, like a George Bush, for example, that can't do anything right. Can you give him a job? Can you let him run a baseball team, or can you do this, or can you do, you know the game. These people don't earn their living. It's handed to them, and they're handed control over our country, and we let it happen, and it's bullshit. And so it seems to me a simple, again, another one of these simple reforms, and we're almost going to spend $1 trillion on this jackass war that'll accomplish absolutely nothing. And if we spent 1/10 of that, 1/100th of that, seeding the government into some industries that could create real reform, we could get prices way down, and we'd have a guarantee on some of these things. They just wouldn't be allowed to gouge us anymore. There wouldn't be any of these obscene profit making, and it's just to me, it's common sense almost. And especially, like I said, if you don't buy the traditional jargon, the traditional line sold by society, so what's the argument against it? What is the worst possible scenario? What one or two of these businesses go bankrupt? The money we'd save on the businesses that wouldn't would be a fortune. So we can afford that risk. And like I said, as long as there's accountability, you can accept a failure. What you can't accept is a system that you can't fight. I mean, you can't even get through to half the businesses now. You call the customer service, you can't even talk to a human being. You're talking to these damn computers and these messaging machines. You end up it took me an hour the other day to correct a grotesque mistake on my phone bill. I mean, my phone bill went up tenfold, and it's just obvious mistake they made, and it took an hour. I had to sit there on the phone for an hour. It was just crazy. So anyway, time is up. So till next time.